Hey, this is Eston Wald with another audiobook review. So we are on Night Shift Dragons. It's the third book in the series from Rachel Aaron, and the narrator is Emily Wu Zeller. And so I found this book to be, very engaging. As soon as I finished the second book last week, I dove straight into this book, and I don't regret it. It was fantastic. The book itself got a 4.6. The narrator got a 5, and the overall, we got a 4.75. And so, let's dive straight in. On the uniqueness scale, I gave it a 4. The book, I feel like, is in a growing genre of modern fantasy, in which the magic or the tech is in a world that is in a not too distant future or past. It is in like a timeline similar to ours. In this book series, the magic came, used to be in the world, an event happened, and then it came back, and that's not an uncommon type plot to some extent. And in addition to that, the book has a couple of different magic systems, which does make it a little bit unique. It's not just like magic, it's, shamanism, there's spiritual magic, there's dragon magic, and in addition to that, there's a component of technology, like a slightly or more advanced technical component. And so because there's magic and tech and stuff, that it does bring a little bit of uniqueness, but it's not something that's very uncommon to this genre. And so I gave it a 4 out of 5. It's hard to find books that are very unique. That doesn't necessarily make it, a bad book. I found this book to be very interesting, even though the subject was, not necessarily unique. And so part of that reason is probably due to the character development. So that's the next section. I gave it a 5 out of 5. This series is different from a lot of other books that I listen to. The major reason for that is that the character development is not focused on how powerful she is. That is something that she does, but that is not the goal of the book. The goal is to tell a story about a girl who's trying to overcome relationship issues with her dad, and to, find out what it's like to be in communion with a god, and boyfriend problems. It's all of these different, more personal things that humans deal with. And so it helps you kind of connect to the main character. And so, in this book, she does a lot of growth in her wisdom to some extent, like in her ability to grapple with her father's demands on her, and, dealing with a boyfriend who may have made some poor choices. What is she going to do about that? What does she do when there's a god that has demands different from what you would want out of your life? And so there's a lot of growth that she does there, where in previous books she handled some of these perspectives in a childish manner, where it's like, it's my way or the highway. If you don't agree, then you're gone. I feel like she does a lot of growing in that area in this book. But it's not just that. She also grows significantly more powerful. And that's something we've all been kind of waiting for, I think. In the previous book, we found out that she was able to tap into shamanism, which gave her more control and less pain associated to performing magic. It kind of relieved a lot of burden that she had psychologically, that she could actually be good at something. But you didn't really get to see the full effects of that. And so this book, she really shines. There's a lot of wow moments where she does really big things with magic, and it's very exciting. And so she has the mental growth, and then she has some power growth, and so that it's an easy 5 out of 5 for this. On to secondary characters. In the same way that the author does a good job of helping you feel and understand the plight of the main character through their social demands and how they fit into the world around them, The secondary characters do a pretty good job of that as well. I would say that some of what happens feels a little bit too easy, I guess, or unnaturally hard. And what I mean by that is not everything in the real world, not all big plans in the real world go astray, right? And not everyone that you talk to wants to be on your side. And that's not exactly how it feels in this book, but it is verging on that. Outside of that perspective, though, I would say each of the secondary characters has goals and lifestyles that are unique to them, and that the author does a really good job of keeping in mind when they're making choices in this book. And so if there's a character that would have normally disagreed with the main character but does now, they do so for a reason that makes sense for them, not for the main character. On to the magic system. So I gave the magic system a 4.5 out of 5. The reason for that is that the author did a good, at least a decent job of trying to connect the magic systems in this world together. Created a little bit of a story of how things are related, and that makes a big deal for me. I want to grade the book harsher on magic, but for this particular series, magic isn't the goal. So like in a lot of series, the main character's whole plot development is based off of learning and getting more powerful with the magic system. And that's just not the goal of this book. It's more like a Lord of the Rings, where there's magic in the world. Magic is sometimes used as a tool to accomplish tasks, but you don't know a whole lot about it as an outside observer. You just know that it can be used to do things. In this book, you do get some more insight into it. There seems to be a large willpower component, and there is some crossover in the different magic systems. And so all of those things together help bring the magic system a little bit more alive. And so I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. On to the narrator side. So the narrator side, just like the last book, literally nothing changed. The narrator was fantastic. So dynamic voicing. Not just the main character, but every character has a very wide range of vocal patterns: angry, happy, sad, distressed, in pain. All of those things are very vivid and brought forth by the narrator. And not just that, they do so in accents that are appropriate to the character. So the main character and a couple of side characters are Korean, and when they talk, I could believe it. I don't know anything about Korean accents, literally nothing. But when I hear it, it sounds like that could be true to me. It really brings alive the character. And so that moves us straight into the vocal cast. There's not just one Korean person, there's multiple Korean people, and they don't all sound the same. They all have their own unique pitch and tone, but also feel unified in their Korean, cadence. And so it is, I think, a pretty fantastic job to be able to do that and do, a more traditional white accent or American accent, and to have everyone, regardless of where they come from, feel unique and very distinguishable from other people. And so it's easy 5 out of 5 on all categories for narration. Excellent. It's an excellent narrator. Especially, a lot of narrators go into the space of being overexcited and providing too much emotion, even more than what's in like the given situation. And I feel like the narrator for this book is right on the mark. As far as age, probably could go high school and above on this one. There is some romance, maybe suggested sexual content, but not. I would say there was more in the previous book, but it's just not a lot in the series. They don't go into great detail on any of those topics. It's more suggestive at the very most. Humor, I find the book pretty humorous. I think that this book out of the series was potentially more serious than other books in the series, but it has a good mix. Romance, as I said, there is some, not quite as much as the previous book. The main character spent a lot of time with her father, so it's kind of a buzzkill in that sense. A fair bit of action, more action in this book than previous books, due to some of the troubles that the boyfriend has gotten himself into. There is some gore in this book, not a ton. It kind of comes with the territory of having more action. And then once again, I found this book to be very engaging. I feel like it could easily be the last book in a series, so be prepared for that. I'm not going to tell you why or how I feel that way. These reviews are just to give you some overarching insight into the book and series without trying to ruin anything for you. But yeah, fantastic book. Once again, book 4.6, narrator 5, overall 4.75. This is one of those book series where I feel like my weighting system might not be perfect, because I feel like the book deserves a higher rating than that on its own. I feel like this should be more than a 4.6, but I rated it just based off of my rating system, and so that's what it is. I highly recommend the series, and thank you for showing up and watching. Like, subscribe, comment. I'll leave a link to Audible if you don't use it. I'll leave a link to there's a Patreon linked in there, which doesn't do anything but gives me money, but I appreciate that if you're willing to do that. Maybe one of these days I'll put some things on there for you guys, if you leave comments to let me know things you might be interested in. And then there's a shake mix that I drink every day for lunch that I find very convenient, and I'll post that in there too. It should in theory help you lose weight. I just find it very convenient. I mean, I did lose 20 pounds, but it's not just because of that. It's because of dietary changes and other stuff. But it definitely helped having like a healthy nutritional shake to have for lunch every day. That and an apple is my lunch. So I'll leave that link for that. And that's it. Have a good day, and thanks for showing up. I currently make no money off of this. I hope to one day, but I am just starting out, and so showing up means a lot to me. Thanks. Bye.